All right, so this is topic 10, part D. All right, now it says this, and don't let that throw you off. All these words. It is not very difficult. A circle has diameter with the following endpoints: negative 5, 2, 1, 6. And they want you to find the center of a circle. Well, just want to remind you, sometimes it is helpful if you kind of draw the diagram to give you an idea what they're talking about. So if you have grid paper, use it to get you through some of these topics. It does help with the understanding. So you're told that these are end points of the diameter of a circle. So negative 5, 2, 1, 6. So here's negative 5, 2, and then here's 1, 6. So that's and I'm not drawing this very well because I'm doing it by hand, but that's the diameter of a circle. So if you draw that, I'm not doing this very well, but if you draw the circle, oops, I didn't do a good job. It looks something like this because the diameter should be the same on this side. What they want you to do though is to determine, oops, I'm sorry. Let me do this again. Let me do the diameter again. So negative 5, 2, negative 5, 2, and 1, 6. So I'm doing it again. Because this is the diameter. What I was doing was I was drawing the circle thinking that was the radius. Remember, this is the diameter. That's the diameter of a circle. So remember, the diameter of a circle is this. It goes from one part of the circle to another part of the circle where the middle of the diameter is the center. Remember that? So your center is the midpoint of the diameter. So the center of a circle is the midpoint of the diameter. Now I think you now know what to do. So if I want to find the center of the circle, that is just the midpoint, right? It's just the midpoint. So you're going to use the midpoint formula. So remember, this is the point here. It was supposed to be 1, 6. So 1, 6, and I put 2, 6 by the way, so I made a mistake there, but it's 1, 6. Let's just say 1, 6. And this is negative 5, 2. Okay? So if I'm going to find the midpoint, you're going to use your formula. So the midpoint is x1 plus x2 divided by 2. Remember, you add the x's together, divide by 2, and then y1 plus y2 divided by 2. All right, so remember, the center is your midpoint. The center of a circle is the midpoint of the diameter. The center of a circle is the midpoint of the diameter. So use your midpoint formula. So you add your x's together. So you're going to say negative 5 plus 1 divided by 2, comma, and then you add your y's together and divide by 2. 2 plus 6 divided by 2. And then simplify. Don't leave it like that. You saw that on that last worksheet. So negative 5 plus 1 is a negative 4 divided by 2. 2 plus 6 is 8 divided by 2, which is going to equal negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. And then 8 divided by 2 is 4. So that's your midpoint. So there's your answer. There's the work. There's the answer. So the important thing was for you to see that the center, or the midpoint of the diameter, is the center. Okay? So if I had drawn this correctly, 1, 6, I think it was 1, 6. 1, 6. So here's 1, 6. And then the other one was negative 5, 2. If I had drawn this correctly, the circle, and I'm not doing a very good job drawing this is saying that the center of the circle is negative 2, 4. And that's what you see. So that's the center of the circle, negative 2, 4. But that's how you find it. Okay? All right, so that's part A. Now part B, they want you to find the length of the radius. Well, remember, this is the diameter, right? That's the diameter. Well, remember the radius is from the center to an endpoint, to a point on the circle. So that's a radius, that's a radius. So there are an infinite number of radii. Remember that? There's an infinite number of those. So if you want to find the length of the radius, either this one or this one or this one or this one, all you do is find the length of the diameter, so the length of the radius is going to be the length of the diameter. And what else do you think you're going to do? Well, if that's the length of the diameter and all I want is the radius, I got to take this number and divide by 2. So you just take the length of the diameter and divide by 2. All right. So let's talk about that then. So so to find the length of the diameter, what formula do you think you're going to use? You're going to use the distance formula, right? So to find the length of the diameter, you're going to use the distance formula. Once you find the length of the diameter, then you divide by 2. So let's do this first. So first thing we're going to do is find the length of the diameter. Okay? Now remember the distance formula. Oh, by the way, on your test, on your makeup, I will give you the formulas for midpoint and distance, so you don't have to worry about remembering those. I'll give it to you. So on your test one, that makeup, I'm going to say distance equals square root of x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. Or you can say x2 minus x1 or y2 minus y1, does not matter. Okay, but I'll give you that. So if you look at your endpoints, my endpoints are, I'm going to go ahead and write it here. Your endpoints are negative 5, 2, and 1, 6. So remember on that worksheet what y'all did? Most students prefer to actually label this. So they'll call this the first point, this the second point. So they'll say this is x1, y1, this is x2, y2. And then all you do is substitute in 2 here. So the length of the diameter will equal the square root of, and then you subtract your x's together. It does not matter the order. Okay, so I'm gonna since I have x1 listed first, I'll do x1. So you can say negative 5 subtract 1. Negative 5 subtract 1. Whatever that is, you're going to square it. Plus, and then you do the same thing with the y's. Subtract your y's. 2 subtract 6 squared. Now that's how it's supposed to look. So make sure you extend this radical. Okay, make sure you extend that radical symbol. Now let's go ahead and simplify each of those parentheses. A negative 5 and a negative 1 is a negative 6. So it becomes a negative 6 squared. Plus 2 subtract 6 is a negative 4 squared. So that's going to equal a negative 6 squared is 36. I get the square root of 36. Negative 4 squared is 16. And when I add those up, 36 plus 16 is going to be, what's that, 52? 52? All right, so 36 plus 16, 52. Now, you want to simplify the radical if you can, but here you don't, and here's why. Leave it like that, because here's why. You're now going to find the standard form of the equation of a circle, but if you went ahead and simplified this, if you did, nothing wrong with that, but I want to show you something. I'm using a calculator, and 52 divided by 4 is 13. So 4 is a perfect square that goes into 52. So this becomes the square root of 4 times the square root of 13, and the square root of 4 is 2. So you get 2 square root of 13. Okay? So you could have left it like this or like this. So if I tell you to simplify the radical, then make sure you simplify it. But on this kind, I'm not going to do that. So there's the midpoint right here. There's the center of the circle, and there's your radius. Now, you're going to take that two parts, and you're going to use that to find C. So C says find the standard form of the equation of a circle. So remember, the standard form's this: x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry. You know what else I forgot to do? What else did I forget to do? This is the length of the diameter, right? You want to find the length of the radius. So how to find the length of the radius? and I didn't have enough room. So the length of radius, you take the length of the diameter, either that one, divide by 2, or take this one, divide by 2. But 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that's just square root of 13. Those are the same thing. Those are the same thing. Don't forget, because see what I did? I was going further and forgot and didn't realize that it was just a diameter. That happens to some students as well. They forget, hey, I just found the diameter, but I need to find the radius if I'm going to substitute that number in there. So that's how I've figured out that I didn't go further enough. So this and this are the same thing. I want you to see that. So I'm going to show you. Square root of 52 divided by 2. So square root 52, close the parentheses, divide by 2 is approximately equal to this. Remember that number. And then the square root of 13. So you get the same thing. All right, so those two are the same thing. All right, so there's your answer for the length of the radius. So for part B. Now let's go about part C. Okay, so remember, you need HK. So HK is your center. From part A, we know the center. There's the center, negative 2, 4. So the center is negative 2, 4. There's your H, there's your K. Your radius is, you can use either this one or this one. It does not matter. Many students will go ahead and leave it like this. So if you want to leave it like that, you can. So you can say the square root of 52 divided by 2. Now remember, it's divided by 2 because remember the length of the diameter, here is square root of 52. To find the radius, you must divide by 2. So that's why you see that. So don't forget, always divide by 2 to find the length of the radius if you're given the length of the diameter. All right, and the rest is easy. So watch what happens. So you're going to say x minus, and h is negative 2. So x minus the negative 2 squared plus y minus, see y minus, and then k is a positive 4 squared equal, now watch this, r squared. So r is this, square root of 52 divided by 2 in parentheses squared. Now don't leave your answer like this. Don't not leave it like this because you need to know that x minus negative 2 means x plus 2 squared. Y minus 4 is y minus 4 squared. All right, now let's talk about this. Don't leave it like this. You're not going to get full points. You're going to be very upset. So let's talk about what this is. So this right here means the square root of 52 divided by 2 times itself. Okay? Well, the denominator, 2 times 2 is 4. The numerator, the square root of 52 times the square root of 52 is 52. That's what it is. And if you don't believe that, then use your calculator. Watch. Square root of 52, close parentheses, times square root of 52, close the parentheses, equals 52. And 52 divided by 4 is 13. So you can put a 13 here. And there's your standard form. That's the answer for part C. There's your answer. Now, here's the thing. You see how I use this as my radius? Someone else could have used this. So I want to show you get the same thing. You get the same thing. X minus the negative 2 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals the square root of 13 squared. So that becomes x plus 2 squared plus y minus 4 squared equal, and then the square root of 13 times the square root of 13, that's a 13 here, is 13. 13 times 13 is the square root of 169, and the square root of 169 is 13. All right, so you see you get the same thing, regardless of which one you use. All right, so there was quite a bit of stuff here for part D, but on that worksheet, that's what you're going to go through. You're going to go through that. All right, so if you're given the diameter, the center of the circle is the midpoint of the diameter. Okay, find the midpoint. So there's your H, there's your K. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to find the length of the radius. So what you're going to do first is you're going to find the length of the diameter, which is this. Then you can divide by 2 to get your radius. So now you have the center, you have the radius, and now you can find the standard form. Remember, hk is your center, in this case, negative 2, 4, and your radius is square root of 52 divided by 2. You just plug that stuff in, and you get your answer. All right, so that was topic 10, part D. So it's not that difficult, but it's not that easy either. But in the end, most students can get through these concepts fairly easy. All right, so that was topic 10, part D.